Hello, and welcome to the Blackout Podcast, where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today, I'm so excited. We finally get to do this, Mario. I have Mario Rolle, clinical therapist. Thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Yes, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, actually, let's start with that. So, what is a clinical therapist?
Well, it's an individual who address mental health, physical health. That's targeting, for me, the social determinants of health. That's supporting that individual.
Oh, wow. How did you get to do what you do now?
Well, for me personally, I'm a social worker at heart, where I had to do a bachelor's of social work. Then I had to do a master's of social work. Um, once you're done that, everyone feels like that is it. But I did a lot of certifications. I worked under other clinical therapists, individuals who, counsel. That's where it is. That's where it comes from. More so counseling and supporting. For me, one of my focus is working with Black men, and so I looked at an individual. In order for me to support a Black man, I have to look at them holistic, right? Someone might come in like with psychosis or another mental health issue, but I always say to myself, what caused this?
Right.
Or what effects have this played, or what other things have helped push this forward, kind of thing, right? So in order for me to help that individual as a whole, I have to, first things first, find out what is the issue that they have. So it can be depression, it can be anxiety, but what is the cause? What's the factors of this, right? It can be one thing, or it can be many things, right?
That's you. So you're, a counselor, a therapist, and you're pretty much taking care of these people, their mental and physical health, especially a Black man that, in a way, are almost like pushed to the side because, like, as men, we have to be tough and all that. But I'm curious, why did you decide to study that? Like, how did you decide to do what you're doing today?
Well, honestly, I didn't want to be a social worker.
Oh,
Just
okay.
right off the bat, I did not want to be a social worker. I'm originally from the Bahamas. I moved here. A lot of my friends back home is either incarcerated or dead.
Wow.
And so basically, when I came here to Nova Scotia, I came here grieving, and I did not know, you know, what that was or what was going on within.
Yeah.
And for me, my partner at the time, was constantly telling me, she's now my wife. She's constantly telling me, you need to see someone. You need to see someone. You need to see someone. Just to talk. I'm like, I don't need to see nobody. You know what I mean? And so at the time, I was going to St. Mary's. I was doing criminology and sociology. Um, but before I took that course, I wanted to do entrepreneurship. So my path was becoming a lawyer,
Oh.
right?
Wow.
And
Those are like.
yeah, they're totally different.
Yeah.
And so when I moved here, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna become a lawyer. And then while doing the various courses, I was like, you know what, I want to be a businessman. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, right? And somewhere in there, I started connecting with community. Because I said earlier, I lost a lot of friends, and I could not help them, right? So when I came here, I saw like a lot of the same issues that I was experiencing back home. And I connected with a few organizations in Nova Scotia. in particular the Association of Black Social Workers. I volunteered with them. I did several conferences, and the trajectory just let me just say, my trajectory just basically took me towards the that help model, like
Mm.
support, right? And so I started working with the ABSW on a voluntary capacity, supporting Black men. And for me, it did something to me. I would say it soothed my soul, where,
Mm.
I was actually able to help. Someone was actually listening to me.
Mm.
There was a lot of tears and also mentorship. There was a lot of mentorship in there, and I worked with young men. I work with older men. I worked with grandfathers. For me at that time, age was nothing but a number, right? People were reaching out, people were opening up. And, from there, I would say that's where my career started, just
Mm.
supporting people. And then two, because, my partner is from the community, I basically married in the community. So any issue that happened in the community, although, you know, I was looked at as a foreigner,
Mm.
any issue that happened in the community was my issue. And so in order for me to live in a productive community, in my
Mm.
mind, it was like I have to help community.
Yeah.
And so from there, when you hear about social worker or social work, you think about welfare, you think about child protection services. That's what I thought when I was going into it. But once I started my bachelor's, I had a mentor. His name is Sasha. He is actually a professor at Dal. He he did a class where he showed that there are tons of career path that social workers can fit in, right? You basically can dictate what
Word.
what social work looks like to you,
Mm.
right? And so for me, the first thing that came to my mind was help support at risk Black men and women, but women a lot of times when you see these agencies, there are agencies that support women, but
Mm.
there are minimal to none that support men, in
Mm.
particular, men of visible minority, or Black men, African, Nova Scotian, Caribbean people from the continent,
Mm.
right? And so one of my goals is I need to. I think I had that savior, or that, what they call it, God complex in my head, like I want to save everyone kind of thing. And so for me, it was like I want to support. I don't want to save them. I want to support men. You know what I mean? I want someone, and I put myself in the picture where in the Bahamas, a sport called rugby. Rugby saved me, and it wasn't Black men, right? It
Oh.
was white men, right? They saved me. So in my mind, it was like, you know what? These mentors help mold me for my future. So now it is my job to help support these men, not save them, because I can't save no one. The only person I can save is me, right?
Mhm.
But I can support these men.
Wow. That feels like, I mean, it kind of feels like a lot of responsibility. How do you shoulder that?
Yeah.
I know
It.
it's supporting,
Yeah.
but still,
Oh, can you repeat that question again?
like, I know you're supporting this man,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it does feel like it is a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you navigate that responsibility?
You know what? Once before, I thought I could have done it by myself,
Mm.
right? But in life, you gotta team up. You gotta have people that buy into the vision that you have.
Mm.
And so what I started to do is, my first job, working with people was a organization called Ceasefire Halifax. And that organization, it was a pilot project put on by the federal government. And I think it was around between 5 to 7 years. So after a while, it dissolved and it was gone. And so from there, I just started building, building,
Wow.
building. So from the clients that I met with Ceasefire, a lot of those clients came over to my next job called the Nova Scotia Brotherhood, which is an organization under Nova Scotia Health. And
Oh, okay.
so from there, you started building a team within the Brotherhood.
Right.
And sometimes an organization would have their mandate, but but also we also have mandates, right?
Mm.
Like what we want to see. We come up with initiative, new ideas, and so for me, it was all about new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I wanted to. So once I joined the Brotherhood, I started collaborating with doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, other social workers, community members, right, and other stakeholders. It's a team effort. You understand?
Right.
In order to help one man or one woman, it has to be a collaborative.
Mm.
So when we talk about what is clinical social work, what that means, what I give, that's what it means to me, right? Supporting an individual's mental, physical state, being able to, you have to put mentorship in there and also to the counsel, help support, right? But what my definition is may not be the same to others. You understand? You
Yep.
also have like I talked about certification. You also have to get various certifications, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectic behavioral therapy, narrative therapy.
Wow.
There's various different modalities, right? Afrocentric approaches, you name it, right? But for me, I'd like this to be Mario, right? Mario, because the thing is this: what a lot of people doesn't recognize is in particular when you're counseling, the first thing a person wants to do is, hey, they come in and they want you to tell them your problem. But it doesn't work like that, right? Because if I'm from a marginalized background, let's say I'm indigenous, or let's say I'm a newcomer, I'm not going to tell you my problem if I don't know who you are. I can't relate to you,
Yeah.
right? So who are you, right? Who are you to ask me these questions? So what's going to happen is individuals going to come, they're gonna feel that energy, they're gonna feel that vibe, and they're gonna shut down. They're not gonna have that conversation with them. And so while you're talking as a clinician, oh, this is this, I'm saying yeah, and guess what? You're not gonna see me again, right? But when you walk in my clinic, the first maybe 2-3 sessions is relationship building. Who you are, who's your family, where you from, how you feeling, do you like sports, do you like music? Find like a common goal where me and you can relate. Once I can find where me and you can relate, then we move on to the next step, right? Because now when you come in to sessions to see me, I'm going to ask you about that thing that we relate about, right? And that's why a lot of people ask me, how is it that you're able to connect with people? It's relationship. We don't have to be best friends, right? We don't have to be best friends, but we build a relationship.
Wow.
And when you ask about how do I handle this, I build relationships with a team. They don't necessarily are like on my team, but we have a relationship. So if Israel comes into my clinic to talk to me and he's dealing with depression, Mario will work with him through depression, through that depression. However, what is causing that depression? Israel might say, man, you know what was really where this really started is my landlord gave me an eviction letter and it's telling me that I have only three months to stay at this house. And so now Mario, he's now not only a clinician, he's a navigator. So now he's going to help Israel connect with someone who can support Israel on that end.
Wow. Because you've already built a relationship with that person.
Bingo.
And then you're harnessing that relationship to help this me.
Bingo. Right? And so now, and remember what I said at the beginning. When you're doing therapy, you want to look at the person whole, not just the one issue. because you can deal with that one issue. You can work. I can work with Israel with that one issue on depression. Give you some tools. Give you things that make you feel good. But as soon as you walk out that door, and you connect with a bill, a family relative, with something that helped cause that depression, everything that Mario and Israel talked about and learned is gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's, for me, when people ask me about, being a clinical social worker, I call myself a clinical social worker and navigator. Right? So providing the clinical work, right? The tools for that person, and then also providing resource for that person.
Wow.
Right?
Man, Mario, the work you do is really, really great. Talking about men and the work you're doing, let's talk about the Men Summit that's coming up.
Okay.
I remember seeing that post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And being like, this is something that's really, really important. How did it come about? Why is it important for you to set it up?
Okay. So let me. I gotta start from the beginning. Okay. So earlier I talked about working with the Nova Scotia Brotherhood, and so while I was working with the Nova Scotia Brotherhood, I was tasked to do something in community to work with men, and I wanted to be out of the box. I wanted to be innovative, and so what I did is I went by myself at the time. I started off with me. I went to almost every community, and I connected with at least 2 men from each community. So the communities that I connected with was East Preston, North Preston, Cherry Brook on Lake Loon, Caledonia, Churchill. Well, that's Caledonia. I got to name all, because if I don't name all, they're going to say, you ain't call us. Mulberry Park, Uniacke Square, Jelly Bean Square in Dartmouth, Leahy, right? Just to name a few. And there's a group in Sackville. So I connected with these guys. And also, don't forget, I connected with Caribbean groups. I connected with African groups. So I had about 2 to 4 guys from those groups. And then also, I connected with individuals who were incarcerated. So I had a representative from the federal side, as well as I had a representative from the provincial side, right? So it's basically, I targeted almost everyone in the HRM. There was one guy from Truro, one guy from Cape Breton, and one guy from Yarmouth. Wow. So now that means we targeted Nova Scotia. From there, I brought these guys in, and we talked. We basically talked about, what do we want to do now that we got a team together. What do we want to do? And so some recommendations were, let's put together a conference. And this conference, what we want to do is bring some issues that affect us as men living in Nova Scotia. And so this is where the Black Men's Health Conference came from. Okay? So there's a conference, and then you have a summit. So with this conference, we did it for several years, and then COVID happened. But while we were doing it, we were getting a lot of what next. People were asking that thing. What is next, Mario? What is next? So and so. And so from there, with this team, we started building the what's next. And so from the conference, they decided to build, like maybe 3-4 years later, they decided to build a retreat. Right? Okay. So it used to be the Black Men's Retreat. Now for me, I stepped back from it, and I allowed the men around who we brought in, I let them control it. So my job was to help support. So I was supporting from the back end, all right? And they were still, a part of Nova Scotia Health. And then I don't know, something happened where individuals, Nova Scotia Health didn't want to support it anymore. I don't know for what reason. The men basically, they took the initiative and said, you know what, man, we saw what happened. We saw the intimacy. Like, I'm telling you, Israel, listen to me when I tell you this, Israel. The intimacy there was amazing. And when I say intimacy, I don't mean love. I mean the connection. The men connected. They connected as men. They talk.
Wow.
You know, they became vulnerable, and they talk.
You know, something my grandmama always says, like, it's about the environment.
Yeah.
It's you can almost achieve most things if it happens in the right place.
Yeah.
So when someone is like, I don't feel like talking, they are not in the right environment.
Yeah.
And what that group managed to do with the conference, with the retreat, is to create that environment for you to happen.
Bingo. And so now after that, so during that time, they had about, because at this particular one, I was not there, right? I gotta tell you about this. I was in school, right, doing a PhD, and so from there, the men, the men who are there, they came to another Black men's conference, and one of the things they were asking, when are you gonna do the next retreat?
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And so a few guys, Jude Clark, Devon Bundy, Cadero Stirrups, and Preston Trench, Dr. Ron Milne, they all came together, and over the last several months, and they brought me in and say, hey, we need some help, let's put it together.
Wow.
And so the target goal was I think 65 to 70, something like that.
Wow.
Right at this moment right now, we're at capacity. We have about 120 guys.
Wow.
Well, we have 100 guys registered and about 20 to 25 guys on a waiting list. Right?
Man.
So it's at capacity right now.
Wow.
Right?
I mean, that is really telling, right? That people say men don't talk so much, or they don't share and stuff. It's like, men do want to share.
Yeah.
They just want to know that it is going to be in the right place.
Yeah. They want to know that there's a safe space. Right? They also want to know too that, when they come in this space, they're not going to be judged. So one of the things that we do really well is we are vulnerable. So if I come into space, I'm going to come talk to you as a man. I'm not talking to you as a clinician. I'm talking to you about, my experience with something. You know what I mean? So now, because I'm now, being vulnerable and sharing, other individuals are now saying, whoa, that's heroic. Wow. I need to talk to him because he went through something the same thing that I went through, and he's doing well, but I'm still struggling. So I need some help. I need support. And right, and like even with this is where mentorship comes in, right? This is where mentorship comes in.
In what way?
And when you say what way, they say, for instance, if I'm having an issue, and there's an older gentleman or there's a younger gentleman who basically went through the same thing and was able to navigate, that individual can now pull me to the side and say, hey, young buck, I'll support you, I'll work with you, or whatever. Or it might not even have to be something that you did. It can be a job. It can be someone who's working in the military, who's having an issue in the military, and there's someone who's been working in the military and was able to navigate that. They could support each other. Because
first-hand experience is important, right?
Bingo.
If I'm like, I know what it's like to drive on ice, I can teach you to drive on ice, type of thing.
Bingo.
I know what it's like to be in the military.
Bingo.
I went through that. This is what I did.
I could support you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the mentorship now.
Yeah.
So the men's summit, when is it happening?
So the men's summit, it's happening on April the 25th to the 7th. So it's a 3-day event and all paid for.
Wow.
right? It's unlimited food. The room and board is it's completed. We got some speakers, we got activities, like we got everything, and we got chill time, right? So one of the things that the team we're constantly talking about is remembering it's a time for men to be relaxed, not tense. Are not going. Let me tell you something that I usually have conversations with men, and we talk about safe space. A lot of men, especially men with families, they don't know how to be vulnerable, right? Let me give an example. You go home and you have a partner, right? And you just had a bad day. You don't come home and tell your partner about the bad day. Or before you even tell your partner about the bad day, your kids come running, Daddy, can you help me with homework? Or Daddy, can you help me with this? Or your partner comes and say, Hey, Israel, I need you to do this and do that. Oh, Israel, you should hear about my day. Like all of these things are coming to you, and your problems are still there on your shoulder. And you're now saying, like, who do I talk to? How can I be vulnerable? Right? And so you just keep that.
Wow.
But you're a Superman. To them, you're a Superman. Right? So here, this summit, you don't have to be Superman. Because we see you. Right? And the thing is they're gonna be clinicians there, therapists, doctors, like, you could have a conversation with them, right? They're not gonna prescribe you, or not prescribe something to you, or diagnose you, right? They'll have a conversation with you and say, you know what, I think you may need to talk to your doctor. I think you need to find a therapist. If you don't have a therapist, reach out to me and I'll help you navigate that. These kind of things, these conversations. So when these men, one of the goals is when these men leave that space, we want to equip them with knowledge, with information / tools, right? We want them to be an advocate, right? Especially one of our sponsors, I gotta call all of them, but one sponsor in particular, the status of women, recently domestic violence has been on a rise.
Yeah, it's
right?
all over the news. Yeah.
However, a lot of focus is on the victims. Most times there's no support with accused men. And so helping support accused men, helping them to be helping them to be champions for domestic violence. Right? If you messed up, I messed up. Let's say I messed up. I didn't mess up, but let's say I messed up. I go to this event, someone who messed up before is now supporting me and telling me, you know what I did was wrong. And how do I change that behavior? You know what I mean? And so we want to be intentional with this summit, where we have sponsor status of women, we have African Nova Scotian affairs, we have labor skills and immigration, we have Winds of Change, we have Hawk Health Association of African Canadians, we have Association of Black Social Workers, and all these groups came together and said, you know what, we see you. We see you guys. We see what you're doing. We want to support you to support them.
Wow.
So, that's what we're here for. This is what the summit's for. We're here for us to support each other, not for us just to support them, because, we're going through stuff in life as well. You understand? So we're all going to bring it together, and we're going to have this conversation. We're going to chat.
Wow.
Okay?
Community is something that you mentioned a couple of times, and talking about with, working on one person or helping or supporting one person, you actually need that whole community, and that is evident in what you're doing with the summit now.
Yeah.
So, one question I love sending guests away with is, what is something that happened before you were 17 that plays a huge role in all these things you're doing today?
Man, for me, when I seen it, I didn't want to look at it. I wanted to answer it here, right? So, before I was 17, my life was going south really, really fast. In the Bahamas, I lived in a community where people turn their nose down to it, and it's called Beantown. I love the community. I visit it every year. I go, but it's the hood, right? And I grew up in the hood, and so there's a sport called rugby,
Mm-hmm.
and rugby saved me,
Wow.
right? And white men saved me. That's why I don't have an issue collaborating with white men. I don't have an issue with allyship. A white man saved me, right? And for me as a spiritual person, I put God first, and then I put this white man, right? He saw he saw potential. How much people can say that? He saw potential in me, and he supported me through my years. So I was in school, between 13 and 17, and I played rugby. I traveled a lot. He paid for me to travel and see the world. A lot of people, they're stuck to their community. A lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men are stuck to the community because of poverty, right? Because of various social determinants of health.
Wow.
And social determinants of health is anything that affects the health of that individual. So they're stuck to their community. And the only time a lot of these men leave the community is being arrested, dead,
Wow.
or the hospital. That's the only time. Court, right? So court and arrest is the same. So it's like anything dealing with the system.
Yeah.
You understand? So providing so for me, rugby pulled me out of that environment,
Wow.
and I experienced it. So now I'm like best of both worlds. I see the street, and I see positive.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I think, that cost me in plenty trouble, but at the same time, it helped me. It helped me. It basically helped me go back to school, because now while I'm playing rugby, the older I get, I started seeing the young guys that I grew up with, going to school, going to college, finishing out high school, going to college, and doing something for themselves. And so for me, my mindset is I want to do that, right? And so rugby helped push me,
Wow.
right? And so when I decided to move here, this the same guy I was telling you about, well, I didn't tell you about, but this white guy, he basically said, "How can I help you?"
Wow.
Right? He gave me money. I can't disclose how much. Is a lot. He gave me money, and he said, "Will this help for 1 year?"
Wow.
Right? In 2009, he said, "Will this help you?" I said, "I don't know, but I can do it." Right? He gave it to me, and I never looked back.
And look at all the.
And
It's
I'm
like
here.
he kind of like planted his seed, and you're kind of giving back. That's amazing.
Play it forward.
Yeah.
And that's one thing he always say, play it forward. So like now I would always, try to send somebody back. He's like, no, help someone. And so for me, this right here is me playing it forward, right? And people be like, "Why are you doing this? You're stressed out. You're aging, right?" But for me, I know where I came from, right? And I know what he went through to get me where I'm at. And so, one of my goals is, and I believe that's why I'm here in life, to help others. I love to see people strive.
Yes.
But what really hinders and hurt me is when I see those people that I help strive close the door and don't want to help others.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing I've learned is you can only do what you can do.
Bingo.
And then you just
You just leave it.
Yeah.
You just leave it. You leave it, you walk away.
Wow,
Right?
this is amazing. You bring so much joy and magic, and I thought I should send you away with a little bit of my own magic. So here's this piece of paper.
Okay.
You're gonna write a number between 1 and 60. Do not show me the number.
Okay.
And once you've done with your number, you can point it to the either one of the cameras
Okay.
or both ones, and I'm gonna use these cards to try and figure out what your number is. Hopefully, it should work.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm good to go.
Okay.
So you can, once you've written your number, showing your camera, I'll look away.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, your number is going to be in at least one of these cards, but it can be more than one, okay?
Okay.
So, your help, is it here? The number, is it there?
If my number's in there. Nope.
Nope. Is it here?
Yep.
Okay. Is it here?
Nope.
Nope. Is it here?
Nope.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is it here?
Nope.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is it here?
Yeah.
This was easier than I thought. It's
Okay.
10.
Yeah, you're right. Where you saw that?
He didn't tell me what the number was.
It is.
Mario, I just wanted to say thank you for all the amazing thing you do. And especially with this band summit. And I really, really appreciate you coming to the podcast today.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate. Really enjoyed being here.